young gentleman I've had the pleasure of working with many, many times, touring extensively across the country, from Victoria all the way to St. John, Newfoundland. A very funny man headlining right here tonight in Ottawa. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. A big Ottawa applause for Mr. Rick Currie.
And ladies and gentlemen, his name's Rick Currie.
I always enjoy watching him work. He's been featured on a number of shows. He was actually on the Comedy Night in Canada show at the actual Just for Laughs Gala in Montreal, and he's been featured on a very wildly popular radio show, Madly Off in All Directions. You got to be proud of this guy. He's Ottawa's own Rick Currie, ladies and gentlemen.
I first met this guy in Ottawa 10 years ago, and he's one of the funniest comics ever to come out of that city. Please welcome Rick Currie.
We're joined now by Rick Currie. We got the camera up and running, who's staying outside the Corral Centre. And, of course, Rick, Toronto's got to get through Ottawa to get to Montreal, if that ever happens.
This is how the Sens' ultimate fan.
Hi, I'm Rick.
Got some great comedy for you. Your first act this evening recently appeared to be Just for Laughs Festival, and he also recently returned from a very successful tour in New York City. Please welcome one of the fastest rising stars in this country from Ottawa, Mr. Rick Currie. Put your hands together.
He's also been on CBC Radio. Please welcome the whimsical comedy of Mr. Rick Currie. Put your paws together.
Comedy Now, starring Rick Currie.
Thank you very much. Well, this is great. Yeah. Like, I always thought you had to have a famous dad to be on CTV. You know, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, you know what I'm talking about. We got that Ben Mulrooney guy, right? Like, his dad was Brian Mulrooney. And then last year, I don't know if you remember, but Sacha Trudeau also had his little show for a while there, right? You know Sacha Trudeau, right? You know who his dad is? Right? Mick Jagger, right? Like, you know, you got to have the connections. That's all I'm saying. Here we are in Toronto. Crazy town, this Toronto. I don't know why you got so many churches on Queen Street, so many queens on Church Street. Just the way it works out, I guess. It's probably a lot of Leafs fans here. A couple of you. Yeah. Yeah, I grew up a Leafs fan. I'm from Ottawa, right? But we didn't have a team back then. And my dad was a Leafs fan, right? And so I inherited that from him. I remember we used to watch the games together, right? Sitting there in the 70s, he'd be doing the old Leafs cheer. You remember the old Leafs cheer? Hey, you remember that from the 70s? It was like, this is, crap! Remember the old Leafs cheers? Some of the American teams are nuts, right? Like San Jose, you see their fans? They're Sharks. 17,000 people doing this. Look out. Like, what happens? They come up here, right? They play the Leafs. What do Leaf fans get to do back? You go, oh, yeah, well. You're Leafs. Well, you guys have been a great crowd. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the night. Bye-bye. Cheers.